This is a continuation of Act 1 of Padia, Age of Heroes, entitled New Heroes, New World. Padia, Age of Heroes, Choice and Consequence. Chapter 15, Boundless Horizons. Our heroes travelled the weary road back to Narita, with their new companion, Natalia, in tow. Shortly after arrival in Narita and Amisa's new barony, the barony of Ashaya, Natalia wished to spend time researching in the Great Library, in a hope to unlock the answer to the mysteries of time the heroes had stumbled across. The heroes, meanwhile, received many pieces of news and royal letters, as would be expected when becoming a newly appointed baroness. One of these pieces of news alluded to the continuation of killings in Nurahan, where the heroes had previously caught and killed Valletta, the Doge's daughter, who they were led to believe was behind the killings previously. Also identifying Nylath Dore and the Isle of Harmonia, which once housed the prosperous city of Harmonia before its mysterious disappearance, as other areas of interest in relation to the mysteries of time, the heroes spent night and day discussing where they may go next. While they did this, they met Ray Shuk, an Orcish woman who informed them of a strange man who was interfering in her homeland, near Ogbol to the southeast. Her arrival also preceded the arrival of a much larger Orcish migration fleeing from the area. Chapter 16, The Death of a Doge. Eventually, our heroes set sail for the city of Nurahan, hoping to resolve the last of the issues in the area. While journeying downriver, the heroes saw various civilians of the towns and villages on the banks of the river beginning to decorate their homes in preparation for Winter's Crest, the annual festivity that marks the passing of the year. Upon arrival in Nurahan, Amisa's attempts to make contact with her younger brother, Vorkris, who was studying at the Mage's Academy, the Spellbinding Circle, ended in vain. The mages informed her that he was in an intense period of study that could not be interrupted for anything. The next morning, the heroes found the city in some commotion. The Doge of the city had been murdered in the night, and, as they went towards his palace, they saw Prince Osman of Narita being dragged off in chains. Upon speaking to him at the prison, they learned that he had visited the Doge the previous afternoon and was being imprisoned for potentially poisoning him. Demosthenes took on the role of being Osman's defendant, allowing the heroes to investigate the scene of the crime and interrogate witnesses, such as Osman's fiancée, Caroline Megara, a member of one of the powerful patrician houses in the city. While investigating the palace, the heroes found the Doge's body to be seemingly unharmed. However, upon further investigation, discovered 2 small pinpricks in his neck. They learned from the head chef and guards that Osman had met the Doge in complete privacy, but did bring and share a bottle of wine. With the aid of alchemist Swiggle Beningdu, the heroes discovered the wine had been spiked, but with vodka, not poison. At the local mortuary, the heroes discovered many of the bodies of the murdered would be stolen while the mortician was away. Upon a little further investigation, they learned that the bodies were seemingly being taken away to the northeast. Following the trail, the heroes found their way to the ruins of the old palace of Pilon. At the palace, they briefly fought some lesser vampires before meeting Liane, a higher vampire. She told them how Kalo, another higher vampire they had previously fought when last in the city, was behind the killings, including that of the Doge. He had previously been used by Valletta, who had bewitched a human man that was Kalo's lover to use as blackmail against the higher vampire. When the heroes had killed Valletta, they had also killed this lover of Kalo's and, in his grief, Kalo began to kill indiscriminately and amass an army of undead and lesser vampires to take vengeance on the city. Leanne offered them a choice. First, for the one responsible for the death of Kalo's lover to sacrifice themselves to Kalo, whose vengeance would be meted out and done with, or to have her call Kalo into a trap to try and fight and kill him. Leanne would have preferred the first option, but did also recognise the possible necessity for the second. After some shrewd debating, Anaxiomanda convinced everybody to gather allies and take the second option. Chapter 17. The Trial of a Prince. The following day, the heroes spoke to Coraline Megara to discuss Osmond's trial and the events that they learnt of the previous night. They arranged to have the trial that afternoon and spent the rest of the day preparing. Members of 3 of the patrician houses of Nourahan oversaw the trial, where Demosthenes acted as the defendant. The evidence of the wine Osmond brought was cleared as not being poisoned, but merely having strong alcohol added to it. During the trial, Mira Pilotek, a daughter of the Doge, indicated that Osmond may have had an accomplice, Aisha, a Hashim, an assassin from the Peshmerga clans of Nerita, who was also in the city at the time. The Peshmerga were 12 clans of desert-dwelling peoples, with each clan following a god of the dodecatheon. A secret 13th clan, the Night Clan, trained the Hashim to defend their otherwise peaceful people. The house guard could indicate, however, that the puncture wounds suffered were unlike any weapon he had known of, which mostly discounted this idea. The court physician could confirm that no poison was present in the Doge's blood, nor that he was suffering any illness. When Mira interrogated Prince Osmond during the trial, it was revealed that he was there on a diplomatic mission to unify Nerita and Nourahan into one single empire. The Doge was unreceptive. However, other patrician houses seemed more receptive to this idea. This certainly looked like it could have been a reason for the murder. However, there was no strong evidence to back this up. Finally, the mortician could confirm other bodies she had had the chance to study of dead citizens had similar wounds to the Doge, leading to the belief that this was done by the serial killer that had been in the city for at least a year now. With that, the trial was won by Demosthenes, and both Prince Osmond and Aisha were freed from captivity. Soon after the win, the heroes gained support of retainers from House Sybil for fighting Kalo, as well as asking Osmond, who was returning to Nerita, to send special forces, as well as Natalia, from Nerita. They also had patrician houses organise citizens and the city watch to try minimise the damage to the civilian population were an undead army to descend upon the city. They also met Aisha, the aforementioned Hashim, who was also willing to help them as a way to repay the debt she owed the heroes for indirectly freeing her. That evening, however, Aisha snuck out of the tavern the heroes were staying at and found her way to the docks, where she interrogated 2 travellers who had commissioned passage on the ship of one Captain Ubor. She learnt the name Tasha Gaunt, however she did keep this midnight adventure secret from the rest of the heroes. Chapter 18. To Kill a Vampire. After a week of staying in the city, the heroes back up from Nerita arrived, and they were ready for battle with Kalo. The morning of the battle, they awoke in the Megara household, who were letting them stay so they could have proper rest. Chantel, a druid from the Sybil household, provided a hero's feast for breakfast. Then the heroes anxiously awaited word from Natalia, who would be arriving in the city later than expected. Natalia did not come soon enough, however. At the ambush location, which was a road flanked by some small cliffs, Leanne summoned Kalo to fight. Kalo indicated he was remorseful of what he had done, but he felt the heroes would never understand what he felt. The fight began, and Kalo's forces, unbeknownst to the heroes, were called to attack the city. The fight with Kalo was long and perilous, with him having a number of powerful abilities and an inhuman swiftness. After significant damage had been sustained, Kalo's form shifted into a more feral version, with curved claws over a foot in length and a taut, animalistic face. After this was defeated, there came one final transformation, in which fleshy wings sprouted from Kalo's back, as well as 2 hooked and clawed appendages. His face also morphed into an inhuman visage with no eyes, nose or ears, merely a gaping maw of teeth. The Kalo that once was unrecognizable. As the fight reached its crescendo, Amis was struck down and killed by Kalo, who shortly after was defeated himself. If not for Anaximander, Amis would have perished completely, but his timely revivify spell brought her back from death. Kalo's body, severed into pieces, began to contort and pull its pieces back together to reform, as higher vampires are known to do. But Liane intervened and slew her friend for good. Liane did not stay to talk to the heroes, leaving into exile and penance. Rushing to the city, the heroes found a path of destruction leading towards the city centre. Many civilians and members of the City Watch were killed, but, defending the city centre, the heroes found Natalia, blood-covered and exhausted. Upon seeing the state of each other, the heroes and Natalia embraced, and Natalia shed tears of guilt for not being able to be there sooner. As the heroes recovered from their wounds that evening, Amis spoke to Natalia about death and the afterlife, remembering that Natalia herself had died and been revived. Amis was worried that she saw and felt nothing but lonely darkness, but Natalia reassured her that her life at that time was still in balance, and as such nothing would have had the chance to happen to bring her into the afterlife. Chapter 19 Winter's Crest. While returning to Narita by boat, the heroes criticized Aisha's methods and morality as an assassin. However, Aisha insisted that because she was a defender of her people and bound by a code, the death she inflicted was far more disciplined than any other. She in fact turned the criticism back to the heroes, remarking how death and destruction seems to follow them wherever they may go. When back in Narita, the day of Winter's Crest had arrived. The party, along with their steward Abukar, went to the local Winter's Crest festival occurring south of the city. While at the festival, the heroes met various interesting individuals. One, a merchant claiming to be from a distant land to the east known as Yunnan. Another was a seemingly 4-armed gnomish mage named Symposia, who told each hero that won the Cosmic Ball game a fortune read from the cosmic orb that was hidden in several cups. Demosthenes, Lefane and Stripe won the game, receiving the following fortunes. For Demosthenes, in one place they live, in another they are ash. Give too much, and you too shall pass. For Lefane, when friends should meet, enemies shall instead. While one tree weeps, the other pause. And for Stripe, a weapon is enhanced by age and experience. One should be careful to not be used as a tool. The heroes also participated and watched festival games, including an arm wrestling competition and a fish pie eating competition. As the heroes left the festival early, a portal burst open from atop the Christmas tree near the entrance, and several ice methods began to attack, followed by another, much larger beast covered in ice. The heroes repelled the monsters, and the portal was sealed, averting disaster. As they returned to the barony of Ashaya, filled with festive cheer, the heroes wondered where their next adventures may take them.